Kellyanne Conway. If I were shot and killed, half of Twitter would explode in applause. White House counselor Kellyanne Conway said on Fox and Friends that political rhetoric must be tamped down following the attack on Republican members of Congress. She called for, quote, introspection in light of recent mock assassinations of the president, including by comedian Kathy Griffin and rapper Snoop Dogg, and at a New York City production of Julius Caesar. Fox and Friends tweet, "We will disagree on policy, but people need to think about their hateful rhetoric." Conway said, "Only the shooter is to blame for the attack that left House Majority Whip Steve Scalise critically wounded, but called out for the toxic stew of hateful rhetoric against the president and his supporters. If I were shot and killed tomorrow, half of Twitter would explode in applause and excitement. This is the world we live in now. It's terrible." Again, it's one thing to say I disagree with you on health care repeal or taxes or national security, but you can't attack people personally and think tragedies won't happen, she said. Conway called out House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi for pointing fingers once again, one day after she came together with Speaker Paul Ryan on the House floor to call for unity after the shooting. Conway also noted threats to other members of Congress, including Claudia Tenney and Martha McSally. Watch your comments above. Take a listen here.
Fiery at the very beginning when everybody was together and everybody went out to second base where Steve Scalise plays. Of course, he's still in the hospital in critical condition. What's your reaction to what happened last night?
I was there at the game last night at the beginning, and there was a feeling of unity and healing. I think that was brought about by our leader, President Donald Trump. He's being a healer-in-chief. He's been just remarkably wonderful to the entire country, calling for unity, praying for those who have been injured, for their full recovery. And I think in the shadow of that, you have people reverting to their hateful rhetoric already again. Just yesterday, I think the unity lasted a hot minute for some leaders. We will continue to disagree on policy and on issues, but I really would ask people to think about the hateful rhetoric. This man, the shooter the other day, didn't hate baseball. He hated Republicans, and his social media feed was a complete anti-Trump, anti-Republican screed. I mean, for those, particularly in the media, who are so obsessed with the president's social media postings, why isn't everybody looking inside a little bit at what they're posting and what they're saying? Because really, nobody's responsible for this shooting except the shooter. There's no question about that. At the same time, you can oppose policies, but it's done with such hateful, charged rhetoric that active resistance becomes armed resistance in the case of this lone gunman.
Sure. I mean, Kellyanne, last night was altogether fitting and proper, exactly the type of display we should see. Do you feel like, however, amongst Democratic leaders in this country, enough is being done to say, tone it down, stop it, we can't bring this to the brink? Not that they're encouraging violence, no one's saying they are necessarily, but the rhetoric is so hot. Can they do more? Should they do more?
I heard the Republican leaders say it last night in an interview on a different network. You had Leader McConnell and Speaker Ryan saying exactly that, and that they work together every day with their Democratic colleagues. They often disagree. We can't seem to get Democratic votes for very much. We certainly welcome them for all of our policies. But at the same time, you had Leader Pelosi yesterday pointing the finger already. 2 days ago, she said she, quote, prays for, she hopes for the success of Donald Trump's presidency, and yesterday she was pointing fingers again. So I do think some people are unloading their shame and their guilt in a call for toning down the toxicity and the rhetoric. But I did a really clever thing. I went back and looked at exactly what was being discussed on all the TV shows except yours at 7:09 a.m. on Wednesday when this happened. And it's a really curious exercise because as Steve Scalise was fighting for his life and crawling into right field in a trail of blood, you should go back and see what people were saying about the president and the Republicans at that very moment. Of course, they had a break-in with the news of this tragedy, and since then there's been some introspection, some quieter, more muted voices toning down the rhetoric. But look at Twitter. If I were shot and killed tomorrow, half of Twitter would explode in applause and excitement. This is the world we live in now, and it's terrible because it's one thing to say I disagree with you on health care repeal or on taxes or on your plan for national security, but you can't attack people personally in a way and think that tragedies like this won't happen. And by the way, look at the response from some in the public. You've got Martha McSally, Congresswoman from Arizona, Claudia Tenney, Congresswoman from New York, two women I know very well and work with closely. They have been directly threatened since this happened, as have others. And that's very concerning to everyone. We don't want to live in a police state because we can't get control of people's rhetoric. But this is a call for leaders to do more and to speak directly to those. But look, this is also the natural byproduct. If you have images of the president being shot in rappers' videos, being assassinated in a production there in New York City, the picture of a severed head. I mean, this is. All of that is a toxic stew. Again, there's nobody to blame but the shooter here.
Hey, Kellyanne.
But, you know, the calls for tamping down also should be there should be some introspection there. Yeah, we're going to have to.
Absolutely, she is correct. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching.